and blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. And, we take a look at where we are, where we're going, what is happening today. Obviously, the fallout continues over Michael Cohen. It looks like he's going to be spending about, 3, maybe 4 years in prison, crying, saying that he's going to sit back and do all these sorts of things. And, as soon as he gets done with Robert Mueller, he's going to be able to talk to anybody that will listen. And isn't that just the way it works? Michael Cohen, 51 years old, will spend a few years of his life in prison, federal prison. But here's the thing that gets me is there are so many second acts in America today, right? There are so many second acts in America today. It won't be long before Michael Cohen will be out. He'll write a book, The Tell-All, between him and Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti. And by the way, when you think about this, Stormy Daniels' attorney, and I do believe there is a thing called karma in the world we live in today. And here you have a guy that now we have been led to believe that she has, that Avenatti is being prosecuted for possibly domestic violence. Avenatti, who at one time people said he was going to run for president, was bragging about his media appearances. Stormy Daniels and others basically saying he pressured her into going after the president. She didn't want to do it, but he did it anyway. And then you have Michael Avenatti now having to, face his own type of justice. When you're looking at possibly, going to prison for domestic violence, that's number one. Number two, now you have Stormy Daniels having to pay the President of the United States, what is it, $300,000? Now, I don't really know how much you can make it these adult entertainment establishments, but that's a lot of singles. Just saying. Now, again, we would never want to violate our family-friendly forum that we have here, so we'll leave it at that. But Stormy Daniels having to pay $300,000. And remember the credibility that the media gave Stormy Daniels and everybody else, right? That Stormy did this, and now the National Enquirer, led by some guy named, what's his last name? Pecker? David Pecker? That's right, led by David Pecker, says, we sat on stories to aid President Trump. Really? You don't think the mainstream media has sat on stories to aid the Democrats? Now, look, I've often argued, and many years ago, before I ever thought about coming here to Idaho, when I was on the watch list as a rising star of cable news, it was 3 weeks before September 11th, I was on with the Greta Van Susteren show, and it was so old, it was so long ago, that Greta Van Susteren was on CNN. Okay? She was on CNN. So I show up, and I do believe this, and I do believe it's true here in Idaho, that when you are a Republican, when you are a conservative, when you are someone of faith, there is a higher standard. Now, Donald Trump has never, ever said that he is a person of faith. He has been great for faith-based folks, but you're not going to catch him on Sunday mornings at the church, unlike other people that have pretended, that have perpetrated. So, now we have everybody running with this, just like they ran with the Kavanaugh stuff, just like they ran with the Roy Moore stuff. What happened to all those accusers after Kavanaugh? What happened to all those people that were so shocked and outraged? Oh, that's right. Michael Avenatti's client, again, had to recant her story. Otherwise, she would be prosecuted. It's just crazy. And by the way, before we get to your phone calls at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I do want to thank everyone who is working in the cold. No, I don't mean just getting into your car and going. I'm talking about whether you're delivering papers, whether you're building things. Thank goodness for what you're doing. We so appreciate your work. Please be very careful. It's 28, 22 degrees outside. So we appreciate that. Just saying there is somebody that appreciates your work ethic in today's America. We go to the phones, and it isn't, it isn't Mom's apple pie. Liberal Steve joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Well, I'll tell you, Miller. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
It's tough to be a liberal Christian in Idaho and watch the news in the state and all over. Good Lord Almighty. And then Cohen getting the 36 months, and then he's going to probably write a book. But there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's just everyday life. Guys should make some money off getting prosecuted by Trump. Trump's just, oh, boy, he's so out of control and fuzzy brain.
Well, what do you mean out of control?
Did you not watch him and Schumer go at it?
We shared that yesterday, and I thought it was great. I thought it was inspiring. I thought this is why Donald Trump was elected, to lay the smack down.
You know, that's what amazes me, how you can see it that way, and I see it totally opposite.
Well, that's why you are Liberal Steve.
And that's why you are Kevin Miller.
And that's why you're a devious little liberal.
Hey, I sent you something the other, excuse me.
Oh, it's a little early morning for you. Had a little smoky smoke?
Miller?
I retract that statement. Go ahead, please.
I wish you would find the tape when I called shortly after 2015 when you had Crapo in your studio, and I asked him, how come when the Farm Bill in 2015, he signed no against it. And it's pretty much exactly the same, except they put hemp in it and added a little more to the welfare. And him and Risch both signed yes on it. It's gone to the president. He's going to sign it. So everybody can grow hemp, but they're going to leave it up to the state and the counties, of course. But his answer was the people of Idaho don't want hemp.
They don't.
Well, maybe the people don't, but the farmers do. And the farmers...
I haven't heard one farmer say they want to grow hemp here. I have not heard one person be an advocate of hemp besides you. And by the way,
hey, Miller,
at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I'm sorry I was trying to have a conversation with you. You know, you get mad when I put you on hold or when I hang up on you. Can you let me speak on my own show?
Go ahead.
Anyway, so... You know, we take a look at Risch and Senator Risch, Senator Crapo. We don't hear from them anymore. So I maybe you called in too many times. You scared them away.
Oh well, the question I was going to ask you: how many local ag magazines have you read for the state of Idaho in the last year?
I get one every month.
What's the name of that? I'm sure it's probably an insurance magazine.
Idaho Ag.
There you go. Yeah. And, okay, if you've read Idaho Ag, there's, numerous articles in there. The farmers want hemp in Idaho.
No, there isn't. And by the way, again, let me just say this. If there's anybody that agrees with Liberal Steve, that would like to grow marijuana, that would like to grow hemp, that is totally on board with this, they are welcome to call in and back you up, sir.
Well, I hope they do, because I'm going to be making tons of money now.
But if they don't, that proves my point that people in Idaho are not down with the dope, not down with the hemp, not down with the mushrooms. We're just not down with it.
Oh, yes, the farmers are down with it because 56,000 products in the United States use hemp.
You know, we have a lot of farmers that listen to this program right now that are up this early. And not one of them are calling in to back you up. I think you're wrong.
Well, some people don't want to get on the stage. And a lot of my friendly farmers are like that. I have to talk for them. And even if they don't let Canyon County grow it, I mean, it's 0.03. It's used in 56,000.
We're not going to let that happen here in Idaho, as long as Brad Little and Kevin Miller are running things.
And you know what Trump had to say about it?
No.
Have you read what he had to say about it?
No.
Have you got a hold of your people on the inside? He said, okay, for I forget how many years, we've imported hemp into the United States. We've imported it in. We can't grow up. We imported it in. Losing jobs, losing factories. Oregon's building a hemp factory and so on. We're stupid not to grow it ourselves. So that's why it's getting signed. And my 2,000 acres I just purchased last week in southern South Dakota, is going to be set aside strictly for that.
Well, thank you for that. You have a great day.
Hey, Miller.
Yes.
I'm coming in tomorrow for coffee and donuts.
We'll be at Bishop Kelly, so no, you won't.
Well, I know where Bishop Kelly is. It's right off Cole.
We have security there. You won't be coming into Bishop Kelly.
I could.
I know a lot of people are wondering, why is this conversation going on so long? I have no idea either.
People don't wonder. I can flash my Knights of Columbus badge.
Thank you for the call, Liberal Steve. Jim from Middleton joining us now on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. I'm sorry I had to listen to such a wasted amount of airtime on that last call. You have no idea how many people turn the radio off when the Welcher gets on.
That's
My
a good
wife
point.
included.
Welcher, that's right. He is a Welcher.
Yes. And, Kevin, I want you to know that the next time I catch up to you, I will have a gift certificate for a restaurant for you that the Welcher couldn't come up with.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And so I will follow through on that. Okay? And it's funny, the Welcher mentioned that you guys are totally the opposite on things. Well, that's true. You make a bet and the man can't even come up with it. And if he can buy 2,000 acres in South Dakota and can't keep his word, that's pretty sad. But it just goes to show what true progressive liberalism is. Anyway, Kevin, how about your Christmas party? What's going to happen with that?
Well, I don't really know. We're kind of, I guess we're off on Monday and the Monday before Christmas. Isn't that right, Ray and Maya? We're off for the 24th. Yeah. So if we do it, we'll have to do it the week Ray and Maya's off. And look, when Ray and Maya isn't here, the place goes to heck. So I'll be working on whether or not we're going to do that. It'll probably be next Thursday or Friday. Probably next Thursday, I would think.
Well, I'll be listening. Let me know, and I'm off at that time, so I'd like to come and share a little festivities with you folks. And anyway, and then one last comment. Yesterday, I called in regards to the people that were pushing for all of this incoming refugees and illegals and what have you in the Western world. One thing I didn't mention, Kevin, the most ironic thing about this, all of the people supporting this and pushing this are all wealthy people. And all of those people are all white. And all of those people want supremacy over the planet and all the people. I wanted to add that. So I hope this, especially the leftist folks, bear that in mind, who's pushing this main agenda. Anyway, Kevin, thanks for the time. I won't take up your valuable time like the Welcher did, but you have a good day.
Thank you, Jim. You have a great day.
I will.
Bye-bye. Jim from Middleton joining us now. Coming up next, you like to text? Believe it or not, one state wants to tax you for it. We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller, in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So apparently, I'm sure you've heard the story that some goofy station in, I believe, California decided to ban this song because of the Me Too movement. And then, magically enough, through the magic of radio, they decided to come back and say, no, we really like the song. It's a good song. When will the devious little liberals ever figure it out, right? When will they ever get that America does not respond to the overt, politically correct censorship of its classic songs? Crazy. Even crazier, it's what is going on in the state of California. Now, yesterday we had a young man call in, and we were talking about, maybe it was, what was the day before? We were talking about the armored ambulance in Ada County, right? And whether or not we needed an armored ambulance. And he was a SWAT guy, and we thank him for his service, talking about being shot under fire and such. And maybe we should get back to that if you missed that conversation. We were debating the whole need for an armored personnel ambulance in Ada County. And I think that's a fascinating direction to go because we seem to have a lot more shootouts than we did even 2 years ago. And I'll make a point on that in a minute. But before that, when we're thinking about the state of California, And I know a lot of people love California. I see it because they continue to proudly promote the state of California by not giving up their license plates. I know in the state of Idaho, and I know law enforcement has much more important things to do, but there are things that I wish they would do. I'd start pulling people over. Now, I know you're saying, well, Kevin Miller, that's like a police state. Look, when you move to Idaho, I think you have 30 days. I changed my plates in 2. And I know the DMV is not a very inviting and warm place, and there are some people at the DMV that listen to us. But I think people should be pulled over if they don't have plates, just like I think people should be pulled over if they have bad emissions. But I don't rule the world. Heck, I don't even rule the radio. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, this is, again, another example of the devious little libs taking over the Golden State. California regulators want to tax text messages to increase funds for programs that bring connectivity to underserved students. Well, if I'm the state of California, I'm worried about funding my pension fund, my overly generous pension fund. And look, no fault to everybody in California. You work hard, you understand the system, and it pays off for you. God bless you. You've got a better life plan than most of us. And then you move to Idaho, and your money goes a lot farther, right? $500,000 in California is like $3 million in Idaho. And you have everybody migrating here. But this is, again, what's wrong with the state of California. A new surcharge proposed by the California Public Utilities Commission, CAPUC, wouldn't be a per-text tax, but a monthly fee based on a cellular bill that includes any fees for text messages services. By the way, I believe still in our cell phones we're paying a tax for the Spanish-American War, even though that war has been paid off. It's something that the phone companies inherited. But could you believe this? A tax for texting. Now, would it bring in a lot of money? Yes. Is it crazy? Yes. Is it from California? Of course. 627 with Kevin Miller in the morning. Traffic and weather together, 107.5 FM.
Evans every Kevin.
And I'm Kevin Miller. So here we have it. I know maybe you're blah, 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 texting and such. I go back to this and I think to myself, you know, would I want to pay a tax for that? No, of course not. Of course not. I don't see that happening. But you have people in California, they want to tax everything. And to me, I'm thinking to myself, you know, what's next? Is that going to aid things? Well, it's going to help the underserved. Well, you heard Bill O'Reilly the other day. If you missed it, it's on the KIDO Talk Radio website. Our interview with him. Everything that you work for that is hard is good. But if you keep giving things to people, people feel entitled. And you see that in your conversations. It's time to wake up and rise and roll, right? Quite frankly. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, but a tax on texting. We'll talk about that. Coming up, I do want to revisit that idea about the armored personnel carrier and just how dangerous our streets have become. Or maybe they haven't. And what's caused the change? We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning. How about Max yesterday calling us from Melbourne, Australia, listening on the KIDO Talk Radio app. By the way, don't forget, tomorrow we will be at Bishop Kelly High School promoting our school, securing our future, thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Coming up, more on this text tax. It's something that I've been remiss in sharing this with you. I just thought it was just a drill, but from the Mountain Home School District, this evening we received an email informing us of a potential act of violence that was scheduled to occur today, I guess that would be tomorrow, but today at Bennett Mountain High School. As a precautionary measure and due to the schools sharing the same campus, classes at Bennett Mountain High School and Hacker Middle School will be canceled. Classes at all other schools will be in session and lockdown procedures will be implemented as an additional safety measure. Mountain Home Police Department will have additional resources around all our schools. You will be provided additional information. James Gilbert, Superintendent, Mountain Home School District. So maybe Pete from Mountain Home knows something about this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And as we say, better safe than sorry when we're thinking about a local school district now on lockdown because of concerns over safety, concerns over threats of violence. And if it can happen in Mountain Home, Idaho, it can happen just about anywhere, like we saw with the attack recently. And we sit back and we, pray that there'll be no more terrorist attacks here in America or across the world. And we'll keep you covered on that. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And before we get to the topic at hand, we'll go to Jeff Monasso, Fox News Radio. Jeff, always good to have you with us. And hard to believe that the NFL season is almost over.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe for some of us it couldn't end fast enough, right?
I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
And speaking of this time of year, people are booking their flights and stuff, and it's not looking good for United Airlines.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. So United Airlines flight attendants are set to protest today in one of 16 demonstrations planned at airports worldwide. Here in Chicago, some 2,000 United flight attendants are based, and there's expected to be a large amount of them, along with flight attendants union folks, protesting over looming staffing reductions on international flights. The union says that staffing cuts mean fewer jobs and, more importantly, could affect the safety of passengers. So a lot of the headlines you're seeing out today is airline flight attendants go on strike. That would be illegal. So this is a protest. These are United employees who aren't working. They're showing up on their day off to protest. They're picking up signs, and they're doing their thing outside the airport in 16 of their locations. But we've heard from United Global Communication folks who told us yesterday that this doesn't impact any customers. That folks traveling out today on United flights should travel with confidence because this is not going to mean any delays. It's not going to mean any cancellations. But they're continuing to work through this issue with the flight attendants and its unions in efforts to get its staffing in line with United's competitors to streamline hours worked and duties performed. These are international flights. These are flight attendants who work these flights, where duties have been consolidated, and so they went from 3 to 2 or 4 to 3, depending on the size of the flight and how many people were on there.
Well, and again, I like how you said this. It's not a strike; it's a protest.
Yeah, it's a protest as they continue to work this out with union officials and flight attendants. United also tells us that they're going to be doing a hiring blitz next year with some 2,000 extra flight attendants to accommodate its great growth that it's seen in the last couple of years. So that's something to look forward to. But it's important to note that this is not a strike. It's a protest.
Well, and hopefully it won't impact travelers too much.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Jeff Monasso, the football season can't end fast enough for some. We appreciate you from Fox News Radio.
Thanks, my friend.
All right. Let's get to the phones, and we go to Liberty Linda, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Good morning, Kevin. I have just a few things to talk about. Number one, we need to have our teachers just teach the 3 R's, K through 6, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now, Kevin, I don't even mind if they spell writing with an R or arithmetic with an R, just so they're not brainwashed. That's, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Anyway, and then regarding texting, we just need the 3 F's. Fun, fast, and free. How about that?
Fair enough.
I like it. And I have a question. Where does Liberal Steve get all of his money?
I don't know.
These are important questions we need to have asked. I mean, if he bought all kinds of acreage in South Dakota.
Well, we
And I
would
think-
point out that he didn't pay up on his debt, so
Oh, he didn't.
no.
Oh, but he can buy land.
Apparently.
Okay. Well, if we hear from him tomorrow, if he comes into the school,
Oh, he won't be coming into the school.
oh, he doesn't have a badge big enough to flash to get into the school. Okay.
No, he won't be coming into the school.
All right. Okay. And, I think it's a good idea for our military to pay for the border wall. Then we get out from, Schumer, Pelosi, all of the others, and we'll just do it.
You're just saying, just do it, Mr. President.
That's what I'm saying. Just do it. Have the military pay for it. They said they can. It's protection for our nation, so it makes sense that they pay for it. And, but anyway, I think it's a good idea, and I think our president may do it. And I think it's time that we get rid of all this violence on our earth, that we do something, after Paris now. And, this has been going on for too long, Kevin. We need to stop this stuff.
Liberty Linda, thank you for the call.
Well, maybe some of your callers can help us with that.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Because I don't think I can't think of anyone here who could put it more clearly than you. I understand that Donald Trump doesn't care. Hyman makes a good point. He doesn't care. But why doesn't Mike Pompeo care right now? But are the professionals...
It's not coming through? No, it sounds too low. All right. Let's go to Tom Munz, TomMunz.com, Munz Tom Twitter. Good morning, Tom.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. This is like 7 days in a row.
Wait, it is Thursday, right?
It is.
Hey, I got a couple thoughts for this morning. Tom's morning minutes. I believe.
Now,
that,
wait a minute. You're starting the Munz Minute. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. No, well,
Well, look, here we go. It's the Munz Minute with Miller. Go ahead.
Well, because I'm never a minute. That's the problem. It's kind of like late shit. Once you get started, you just can't stop.
Sure.
Well, so my thought this morning was that, from everything I've read, government creates problems. I think we all know that. It creates fear and alleged solutions. It dumbs down its people. It controls the education. It controls media pillars of influence. It creates fear. It denies conspiracy. It subjugates people. But the thing is that the irony here is that government is arming itself against the citizens at the expense of the citizens and then attempting to disarm citizens. Is it legal, therefore, for us to arm our cars and our homes against government? I'll bet it isn't. And if it isn't, why? Aren't the citizens masters of this country while governments are the servants? And when in history does the inferior ever arm itself against the superior and get away with it?
Hence the
defined
superior.
limits on what government can do. Do you remember when I used to be called One Tune Tom because I used to talk about the Constitution all the time?
I remember when I try to answer people's questions and they talk over me, but go ahead.
Well, isn't it ironic that that constitutionalists are targeted by government for merely wanting to enforce the Constitution that limits government? I mean, what we're really dealing with here is a people that have no clue about what the limitations of government are, what their civic duty is, because it's been completely derelict in school. I mean, we're taught that we're a democracy instead of a constitutional republic. We're taught that the Supreme Court can make law. We're taught that we can do these backroom closed deals. I mean, legislative, whether it's Idaho or whether it's the federal government, whatever. A lot of the chaos comes from the media spin, and what it really comes from, I can identify personally with when I first became an activist and I was so angry at everything. A lot of the anger came from that I knew that there were serious problems. I just didn't know what the problems were. And so my mission was to be able to figure out what the problems were. And when you become more articulate and understanding about how things work, you tend to be angry, but you tend to be able to withhold that, sort of, and be seen as somebody that's a little more sane. And
I have no idea what you've just said.
I'm saying that knowledge is power.
We went back from One Tune Tom to the citizenry arming itself to you giving us this this flashback to being called One Tune Tom. That's quite a bit this morning.
Well,
what are we talking
when
about?
We're talking about the problems, and you asked about solutions, and the solution really is trying to understand what's going on in this country, which is why we're having this conspiracy presentation tonight at 7 o'clock.
Oh, there he goes. And then he goes into plugging his event. He has learned.
Understand the basis of what's going on.
I'm sorry, Tom. Can I get a word in here? I don't know what it is with everybody.
I'm excited this morning. I'm sorry.
I can tell, man. I'm just trying to have a conversation, but I was just going to say Tom has learned all the tricks, but they're back to you.
Oh, that's it? That's all you got?
Apparently.
I shut up for that.
Yeah, look, it's for the benefit of the show. I think that's the line of the day. Kevin, I shut up for that. A good point.
I think that we'd be in a lot more trouble in this country if we didn't have you in this state and in this country if we didn't have you on the air, man.
In all seriousness, brother, I love you, and I am always, always honored to have you on. So you come on anytime, and whether we agree or disagree, I go back to when you were running for Middleton School Board. One of my favorite Tom Munn stories, and I have so many, is when you were running for Middleton School Board, and it was the first year of Promote Our Schools, Secure Our Future. You're going, tell the kids they're slaves. They've got chains on the wrist. I go, Tom, you're not going to win many votes that way. You remember that?
No, the message hasn't changed. I just
right.
found a better way to do it.
No, the message hasn't changed.
Just because we disagree, I tell people I've got an answer now that just because people disagree, they just haven't been around me long enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a joke, but anyway, it kind of fell on its face, so I'll let it go at that.
No, somewhere somebody's laughing. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good. All right. Well, have a good day.
Well, before you go,
on,
I got Holly calling, everybody calling about the Tom Munn's event tonight, Meridian City Hall, 7 p.m., Conspiracies.
Yeah, it's a free event, so bring anybody that calls you a tin hat or anybody that calls anybody tin hat, you're going to want to eat the aluminum foil after that because it's going to be a spectacular, it'll be an expose like you've never heard, I guarantee it.
It'll be a life-changing event.
And if we've never met, come say hi. It'll be awesome. And hope you show up, Kevin.
I hope so, too, Tom. But, I live under a rock. So.
I know you do, but you know what? You do good. You can do good work. You need your sleep.
I do, because a cranky Kevin is not a fun Kevin.
No, but you're up in the wee hours when the rest of us aren't. So God bless you for that.
God bless you, Tom Munns. Good luck tonight.
Yeah, have a good one. Appreciate it.
All
Bye.
right. Our great friend Tom Munns. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Getting back to this point, we were talking a little bit about California looking at passing a tax on text messages to raise money because that state is going broke. Also, revisiting armored ambulances. An outlier or a wave of the future in the Treasure Valley? How violent have we gotten in the last 2 or 3 years? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And our old friend Isaac Moffett from one of our Christmas parties. And tomorrow we'll make the announcement of when we're going to have our Christmas party. I don't know if we've ever had our Christmas party on the road, and then some years we have them, some years we don't. It really is based on my relationship here with the management of this building. A few years we've had people pilfering people's desks. And not that there's really anything on their desks and such, but again, the only entity that actually welcomes people into their building. So we'll see what happens with that. Kevin Miller with you here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's do this. Let's get you to work safely and on time.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Gabbard.
And this in from our friends at one of the papers here. The debate over a new urban renewal district in far southeast Boise took some surprise turns. Apparently, Mayor Beater, he was taken to task by some activists of a mobile home park. Let's listen to this from the Statesman. Well, there we go.
Well, you can't both require people to accept density and not preserve farmland because you're telling us we have to accept density because we are saving farmland and we're preventing sprawl
rips up farmland more than anything.
That's fine, but what do you do to save the farmland?
private farmland is outside of where we're talking about.
Well, if that's the
Because farmers can't farm there.
well, that's
You know
one
that's true.
person's opinion.
It's
That
the
was
person who
farmed
farmed it.
for years and years.
But the last person who farmed it said, this is crappy farming. It shouldn't be
we
illegal.
can agree to disagree. But
See, you know, you're locking up everywhere else. What is good in other parts of town. It just doesn't work.
well, you know, we can't both
Richard said
accept density and, you know, sprawl.
See, the argument is whether or not they want to build high-density apartments on Hill Road. People there arguing that it's going to destroy the landscape, the magic, the atmosphere. Also, people saying, you know, there's a mobile home park in the area. We don't want that destroyed as well because you have to have affordable housing. They argue that affordable housing in the mobile home park needs to be preserved. Beater contends the activists back affordable housing as long as it's not in their own backyards. I think it's elitist, he told the meeting. Wow, Dave Beater getting ready to run for re-election again. Whatever happened to term limits? I mean, we have term limits, self-imposed term limits on the president. What about term limits for local politicians? Well, Kevin Miller, that's what we have elections for. Well, I would like to see term limits when we're talking about politicians, wouldn't you? Or maybe not. We'll talk a little bit about that. By the way, coming up next hour, Steve Moore will join us. He's the guy, along with Larry Kudlow, who now works for President Trump, that when the president was running for office, they got together and they said, what can we do to develop an economic plan that is going to make America great again, that is going to get people invested and rolling and doing their very, very best? And Larry Kudlow and Steve Moore will join us next hour. They, along with President Trump, figured it out. We'll talk about that and what Steve Moore thinks of the economy right now. We're just getting started. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay with us. Fox News next on your home for Fox News on the radio, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.